Next story takes us to Seattle. And on the subject of TikTok, I saw this video on TikTok a couple of days ago, and I was wondering, what office is this? Where is this? And I has since been by internet sleuths, not on our team, identified that the office in question where this was filmed is Zillow, and there is speculation that this is a Zillow employee that is narrating this. I'm going to go ahead and roll the clip, and then I'm going to talk for a few minutes about the problems and challenges that Seattle is facing because of COVID.
There it is. Beautiful downtown Seattle. See the Space Needle right ahead of you there. It's gorgeous. If you're up this high, you can't see the homeless people. Then as I turn around inside this high rise, it's like a zombie apocalypse movie. Desk after desk after desk. Empty. People used to be working in here. This whole building was bustling, full of people. This whole building just empty. Because our governor, our mayor, and our president has passed all these fucking laws. And they've done nothing to help this town. It's crazy. It's the eeriest feeling walking through this building. I used to wait in line to get the elevators. Now it's just empty all the way around. Not a soul in the building. It's wild.
Jennifer, I put this up. It's over our heads right now, which is Zillow's stock chart. 52 weeks ago, Zillow was $28 and change. Zillow has been, in the last 52 weeks, at the end of the year, was 7 times higher than where it was 52 weeks ago. It is 5 times higher today because it took a little bit of a beating on the stock market in particular today. I did look in after hours. It's about halfway to gaining back what it lost today. Zillow has a market cap of 31.1 billion, so it's trading at a PE of just 11, which means it's actually a value stock. Now, he goes on about there's nobody here and this is the president's fault and the governor's fault and the mayor's fault. Zillow's doing great. And not only is Zillow doing great, but Jennifer, as you know, there are a lot of companies that are really thinking about not returning to an office environment or scaling it way back, because what they've learned in the last year is they don't need to have people in offices to be productive.
Yeah, no, exactly. Feels a lot like this person was pushing his political opinions on this particular situation, cherry picking some data, trying to, just kind of formulate this particular narrative that fit within his own beliefs and his own political leanings.
Well, that's exactly it. And let's not forget who was president up to about 63 days ago. And some people would tell you, Jennifer, he still is president.
Yeah, although I think March 4th has come and gone by a while.
Well, they've moved the goalposts. It's end of April. That's the new one. End of April.
Oh, yeah. So I'm just going to start doing that now. Every time something doesn't happen that I want to happen, I'm just going to start moving the goalposts. It'll be fine.
You have to trust the plan. I want to talk about what the real problems are that Seattle is facing. We have reported to the point that probably people are tired of me talking about it. Between public and private investment, for more than 5 years, the city of Seattle has spent $1 billion with a B on addressing the unhomed issue. There are approximately 12,000 people that are unhomed from the last homeless census that they did in Seattle. That comes out to about $83,000 per unhomed person. We have run the math, and I'm going to spare my soapbox again on how at $83,000 a person, there should not be a single unhomed person in Seattle. So the first thing that you have is this tremendous amount of waste that is going on. And you have government waste and you have waste within the nonprofit community. Now, I know some people are going to start roasting me in the comments. I work for a nonprofit. I'm not saying all nonprofits are bad. But if you work in the nonprofit community, you know some nonprofits are really bad. And what Seattle provides, and we had this feedback from the police, from chuds, from people in mutual aid, and from far left homeless advocates. They all said the same thing. Everything's just a temporary solution. Nobody is interested in providing a permanent solution, because a permanent solution then means that the people providing the temporary solutions don't have money anymore because the problem has been solved. Although on paper, you never fully solve the problem. If you create an efficient system, you are catching people before they fall through the net and lifting them back up into a home situation. We'll save that conversation for another day. Why is downtown Seattle the way it is? It's the way it is for a number of reasons. We talked about this a moment ago. Reason number one, there's this thing called COVID going on, and everybody went home and is working out of home offices. President Biden didn't make any declaration, Jennifer, that people have to work from home. He hasn't made any declaration as such. He has no power to at a federal level. Really, the only thing that he's done from an executive action standpoint was use the Defense Production Act to get COVID vaccine production out of the ditch as it was in, mandate that people need to wear masks if they're on public transportation or in federal government buildings or federal property, because he has oversight in those areas, and requested that everybody mask up for 100 days, of which, as we've already covered, almost 90% of America is at least complying with. That's it.
Yeah.
Jay Inslee has opened things back up. Zillow could put people in that office tomorrow. They could have 400 people on that floor tomorrow under phase 3 rules.
Yeah, they could. And apparently this particular person just, again, is cherry picking data to fit their own particular agenda or mindset, and not really thinking critically about, the logistics of this, or the things that could be done, or the things that have transpired over the past 63 days, or even the things that transpired in the year before that we were almost a year before that we were in the midst of the COVID pandemic and what that did. So again, this person just isn't really going to change their perspective, because any kind of reformulation of the narrative that takes into consideration the things you just talked about doesn't fit within their own particular agenda.
That's 100% correct. And the other thing, Jennifer, is that the city of Seattle, there is blame on the city of Seattle's feet, but not for the reason that he's saying. City of Seattle engineered large areas of downtown, and they permitted and allowed companies like Amazon to make South Lake Union an empty core. Fills up with office workers during the day, almost no housing in those areas at night, so that nobody is down there. Then they made parking extremely difficult, so that people who didn't live in the city didn't want to drive down there. And absent, say, a train that could take people from the east side to the downtown that ran at a regular interval, like, say, on the East Coast subway systems for 20 or 21 hours a day, you're still not going to get people to sign up and go for nightlife. So when all of those office workers left, all of the businesses that depended on those office workers lost their clientele. And that's why businesses left downtown. The unhomed moved into downtown after the businesses left. And ironically, Jennifer, as you know, after they did sweeps in places like Cal Anderson Park and Miller Field and Denny Park, because where else are they going to go? Because we don't solve the unhomed problem here. We just play whack-a-mole and move them to different areas. And it plays into the narrative for certain people in the city of Seattle to enable the unhomed to sit in downtown.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I think of this too. This isn't an isolated historical incident. If you look back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s in the Georgetown area, which used to be very suburban, had a lot of houses and businesses. Once Boeing moved in, it basically just kind of took over and industrialized the area. And now we have kind of there's a revival of Georgetown, I guess, in a way. And it's more like a place, I don't know, middle-aged white women go to the bars there when they want to feel like they're on the wrong side of the tracks. I don't know. But it's, very much a very different version of itself than it was 50, 60 years ago.
Exactly. And what corporate America has figured out is that to a degree, they can exploit, and I say exploit with a grain of salt, but they can exploit white collar workers because they don't have to provide them an office. And they're not paying for those workers to have high speed internet into their
Yeah.
house. They don't have to pay for heating. They don't have to pay for water. They don't have to pay for a cleaning crew. They don't have to pay property insurance. They don't have to do any of that. They don't even have to pay for a laptop. They could just go to a bring your own device model, provide you the option to get a company laptop if that's what you want to do. And some workers in that space are okay with it because they just want the home office deduction.
Yeah. So it's definitely not something that's not beneficial for these big corporations when they get to do things like this and, save money and pinch pennies in these particular areas where they would have been otherwise shelling out significant amounts of money to keep high-speed internet, heating, cooling, all of these things that are necessary to run an office and keep it functioning, especially with that many people.
Yes. And it's not going to come back. And that's the challenge that Seattle is going to have to figure out.
Yeah.
Because I was talking to someone else today, and what I said is, even if Amazon next week were to say, well, it wouldn't be next week. Let's say we get to phase 4, because phase 4 is basically life is back to normal. And Amazon says, okay, phase 4, all you morons, your asses are coming back into the office in 3 weeks. You got 3 weeks notice. It's not happening. Because there's going to be people that are going to go, not only are they going to go, no way am I coming back in because I've worked at home for more than a year. And you know what? I don't want the commute. I don't want the parking. I don't want to have to sit in an open office with all of the distractions that are going on around me. And if you're not going to accommodate that, there's a company out there that supports remote work that is going to accommodate me for it. The office is dead in this country. The large office is dead, and people need to figure that out.
Who the hell wants to go? I don't know about any of you, and I don't want to have to go back to wearing like makeup and nice clothes 5 days a week when I have to go into my office. I'd much rather like put on a nice top and wear my sweats and Uggs for a Zoom meeting because they can only see it from the top up, rather than like have to spend all that time getting ready to go into an office and deal with the commute, the paying for parking, the finding lunch, having to deal with other people, which isn't always my favorite thing. So there's lots of benefits for people to continue to stay home and work, both for them and for the corporations.
I will freely confess, I have done Zoom meetings with the shirt and the coat on top, and I am literally standing in my underwear or sitting in my underwear. And I'm just making really sure before I get on the air that my secret is not going to be given away by the framing that I have. I assure you right now, everyone, I am wearing pants and underwear.
Good to know. Good to know, David.